Hey there everybody, hope your day is going well. Jacared Old School Gaming here, and welcome back to another Wild Wednesday. This time, looking at the theory that Professor Oak was a champion. So, he went to Indigo Plateau and faced off against Elite Four of his time, and because, I've done enough second-gen Pokemon research to know that the Elite Four have changed, and there's a different order to them, and how there's different trainers in the old Kanto gyms, but that's such a long ways in the future. Let's not think about that right now. But Professor Oak was a champion. Isn't that... Well, I suppose it's only implied, because he says that he used to be quite the collector, but in his old age, he's more of a researcher. He only has 3 Pokemon left. He has... he has Bulbasaur and Squirtle and Charmander. Well, except in Yellow. In Yellow, he doesn't have anything. He catches a Pikachu and hands it off. and that's it. So... Is this more talking about, I don't know, is there evidence that he may have been a champion at one point? That would definitely be interesting. So yeah, let's get into ProtoMario's video, which, hell, it's originally 7.5 minutes long. Let's, well, I don't know how long I'm going to make my commentary on top of it, but yeah, we will see.
Hello and welcome back, YouTubers, to another episode of Pokemon Theories. I'm your host, ProtoMario. And this is the show where we discuss theories ranging from Red being a ghost to why the heck Jinx looks the way she does. The theory for today is that Professor Oak used to be a Poke League champion, along with Agatha, but we'll get to Agatha later. That's not the main focus.
Really? So that's not the main focus? Should it be? Because, that might explain, why they had a falling out, because every time defeating Agatha multiple times, I've almost purged what she said, but it was something along the lines of, oh, he's an old coot, he doesn't know what he's talking about anymore, along those lines, so, Or maybe they were rivals, kind of like the player and Asphalt, or whatever you might want to name him in the first gen games. But okay. That's not the focus of this. So what is? Honestly, I would be interested to hear about Agatha, but if that's not the focus of this, or maybe we talk about it later in the video, I'm here for it.
Professor Oak is the leading Pokemon professor, and he distinguishes his research from other professors by the relationships between humans and Pokemons. He has become a leading role model for all Pokemon trainers and several other professors, most notably Professor Elm. However, what if I told you Professor Oak used to be the Poke League champion?
That would definitely be interesting. Hell, it's what we're here for, so I'm ready to hear it. Do you have evidence, or is... I really hope this isn't pure speculation. Please, is there some kind of evidence? Either in something someone says, maybe... Because I did talk to everyone, but maybe I glanced over something? Or hell, maybe it's something in one of the other games I haven't actually played yet. Yeah.
If you really think on this very hard, Professor Oak made the Pokédex, which means he in some way, shape, or form had to have collected all the data of Pokemon himself first to be able to input them in, which means at some point in time he captured all the Pokemon.
Except that's not what happens. Right at the beginning he says, hey, it was once my dream to have a catalog of all the Pokemon in the world. Here's a brand new invention, the Pokédex. I want you two to go out and fill it up, please. And then, because he spent his entire life working on it, which is like I said, kind of part of why at least in my mind, like why Asphalt is such an ass fart in the first gen games. Like Grandpa, he's trying to like, hey Grandpa, look what I have. Not now, grandson. I've got to invent the Pokedex, and that's why he doesn't even remember his own grandson's name. Did I say it in one of the theories, or did I say it in the very early Let's Plays of it? I don't know, but yeah, it essentially kind of comes down to that. Like, maybe that's why Asphalt is such an ass fart. Yeah, so Professor Oak didn't. He created the Pokedex, but he didn't catalog Pokemon into it. The whole technology is able to, like, point at a Pokemon, whether it's one you've caught or one you haven't. Like, it's like once you've caught it, it kind of enters into a database, and then that database updates the Pokedex with, like, a translation, just like, oh, hey, you can scan something from afar, but you're only going to get so much information from it. But if you actually, like, capture it and you're able to analyze it in an enclosed space rather than far away, you can get much more information off of it. And that holds true whether it's like a rock or it's an animal.
Now, let's just throw Mewtwo and the legendary birds out the window, because obviously he probably did not catch Mewtwo, Mew, the legendary birds. You know, that's kind of far-fetched. So without supporting evidence, I can't address that subject.
Yeah, like I said, Professor Oak didn't catalog Pokemon into the Pokedex. He may have had, like, pictures of a few, but he didn't really have a catalog or a database on them until the Pokedex was created, until Red and Blue and Yellow, in the time before Ash even sets out. Yeah, Professor Oak needed a catalog, and he needed those who had stronger bones than him to go out into the world, go out and travel the world, and catalog those Pokemon.
But nevertheless, at some point in time, he must have encountered, captured, or had all 151 Pokemon in order to program the Pokedex. So, what's stated by Agatha to hint at him being a champion is that he was Agatha's childhood friend. They remained good friends and top-class Pokemon trainers until Oak stopped battling and became more interested in Pokemon research.
Okay, so we are getting into what Agatha said, and yeah, like, you know, they were essentially rivals, and Professor Oak just kind of went off on his own thing instead of, like, sticking around Agatha, which I guess kind of ticked her off. She was just, or maybe she's just like, we're supposed to stick together forever, and she wanted to go one way, Professor Oak went another way, and that kind of, like, put a divide between them. Which, I mean, kind of stupid. Some people are just stupid like that because they just let divides get between them. Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. Like, it has been a while since I've even looked at exactly what Agatha said. So, I don't know, is there something else in there? Some kind of hidden meaning in what she said? Or what someone else said, maybe?
Agatha even said that he became soft and started to regard him as a fool. However, Oak still affiliates himself with the Poke League as an advisor. He even got an email sending out the challenge to all trainers from the Poke League, and they specifically requested his presence at the Poke League. Very odd that they would request a professor who no longer battles at the Poke League. And Professor Oak isn't technically a referee or a judge or even a gym leader. So why would they want him?
Well, they would want him because he is very well known the world over as a very renowned Pokemon researcher. And as such, they would want his observation on the tournament just to be like, hey, observe what's going on here and give your take on how a trainer's relationship with their Pokemon affects them in battle, or rather, or maybe how it doesn't. 'Cause, yeah, maybe that's like the kind of a debate of the time. It's just, I don't know, does friendship actually affect Pokemon battle, or does it not? Which, well, in first gen, it doesn't really. In second gen, yeah, there's what, the baby Pokemon and other stuff, and yeah, but it does take him a while to get there, because, I mean, how he gets the email that the rival, his grandson, won the championship, but by the time the player gets through the Elite Four and then gets through their rival, they've already won, and now a new champion is decided before Blue can even be registered in the Hall of Fame. It's Red. It's Red that gets registered. kind of messed up, but then again, yeah, Oak is kind of old. Maybe maybe he already knows that Agatha is part of the Elite Four on Indigo Plateau, and he's just kind of hesitant to even go there, at least until he hears about his grandson becoming the champion. And he's just, you know what, I'll go for my grandson. Something like that.
If he doesn't do anything. On top of this, supporting evidence proves that Professor Oak was at one point in time a success in his youth, however, because he has 3 Pokemon. A Bulbasaur at level 5, a Charmander at level 5, and a Squirtle at level 5. This would indicate that he was not only a successful trainer, but at one point in time a successful breeder as well, as these Pokemon technically cannot be captured or attained any other way but via breeding by selecting the starters.
Or maybe it's more along the lines of, like, because he said he used to have a large collection of Pokemon, but now he only has 3. At least in Red and Blue. Well, Yellow's a different story, but yeah, he used to have a whole bunch of Pokemon, now he's down to his final 3. Maybe it's more like capturing a certain Pokemon near the end, and unless you're like me and you actually want to train and use every single Pokemon possible, then you're probably just going to leave a bunch into the PC and use your team. Who knows what Professor Oak's starter Pokemon would have been? But, you know, he has a three level 5 Pokemon, just because, well, they're the only ones he has left. And maybe, again, unlike me, because I'll capture one of every single Pokemon, well, with the certain exceptions, so like, hey, hold this one for a trade to another one, hold this one for a trade to that one. Yeah, apart from that, there's not much more to it. Yeah, apart from that, maybe other people would capture multiple Pokemon and then go, okay, I've captured 5 of this Pokemon, I want to choose the one with the best stats, which is kind of what I did when I was cloning for Blue. Just, okay, Blue, capture a bunch of Rattata and Pidgey and whatnot, and then clone the Pokemon that would have been traded anyway, but then keep the Rattata and the Pidgey and I think a couple Nidorans. Let's see, Blue, Caterpie. Weedle was hard, but essentially just keep the ones with the best possible stats, and then as for the rest, yeah, they get sacrificed to the cloning process. So, like I said, maybe it's more along the lines of capturing multiple Pokemon and just, okay, compare the different stats of them, and then pick the best one. But maybe it was a different way of observing stats outside of the Pokedex, because that kind of contradicts what I would say earlier, that he didn't log anything into the Pokedex. The Pokedex itself is brand new. So maybe it was a different way, and then, like, okay, we know there are 150 Pokemon out there at least, so let me just pick these one. And then eventually, like, okay, like, whatever ones get tamed first, just, okay, number 1, Bulbasaur. Oh, Bulbasaur has 2 evolutions. Number 2 is Charmander. Oh, Charmander has 2 evolutions. And the third one, Squirtle. Squirtle has 2 evolutions, so it's like, okay, there's the first 9. And then kind of just go forward from there in the order that they're registered. But, of course, that's only in the in the Kanto region. In the Johto region, it's a bit different because it's, well, essentially different Pokemon surviving in different areas. Well, somewhat. Yeah, I'll get into that one day. Okay, that sent me on quite a bit of a rant. Let's go back to you.
Now, again, supporting evidence would dictate that this would be very difficult to prove, since how did he get the Pokemon from himself if he never had them to begin with? But, stay with me here, once again. We're just proving he was a champion, none of this other stuff. So, if you continue on, you'll notice that he does catch a Pikachu eventually, which means he's successfully able to use and throw Pokeballs also. And he keeps them on him, proving once more he was at least, at one point in time, some kind of trainer.
Actually, I would just say that's more of a, like, something to be done in the world. It's just, oh, hey, here, this is how the world is. So, like, it kind of, make sure you always carry a Pokeball on you, just in case you're alone somewhere outside and a Pokemon's trying to attack you. Throw a Pokeball, and I hope it captures it, or run away while while it's breaking out of the Pokeball. Simple as that.
More to proving this. In Red and Blue, there is a glitch to where you can battle Professor Oak using a Ditto or an Old Man, but you can really only battle him with the Ditto glitch. So, what does his team consist of? Well, let me tell you. If you picked a certain starter, he would pick the opposite one of yours and your rivals. So whatever one is left over after you pick your starter and your rival picks his starter will be the Pokemon he has. His team consists of a level 66 Tauros, a level 67 Executor, a level 68 Arcanine, a level 70 Gyarados, and a level 69 starter.
Oh, yeah, that is even more interesting, especially with everything else. Like, maybe it was more like, oh, hey, you are the champion, you beat the Elite Four, and you beat the person who currently took the title of champion. Follow me into this next round. Now, before I can truly name you champion, it's time to truly test you. If you can beat my, 5 Pokemon, then I will name you champion. And it's like essentially an extra layer of challenge, but unfortunately that was removed due to time constraints. But it was erased from the scripted lines in the game, which is why you can still get it with the glitches. And again, this doesn't really change anything. It's more just that, yeah, we know that Professor Oak used to have a bunch of Pokemon because he said, these are my final 3. Which, maybe it's not exactly, these are my final 3. These are the 3 that are perfect for those starting their journey. So I want the 3 of you to pick one, and hell, maybe the other starter, he doesn't level it up or anything. He just, puts it back in the PC and then withdraws, and then goes, okay, hell, you have a picture of a Blastoise, I think? Yeah, that's a Blastoise, so he puts the Squirtle back in the PC, and then withdraws his own, goes, okay, you know what, let me withdraw the high-level Blastoise I have, and with, for other Pokemon to make a good balanced team. That way, should either my grandson or my grandson's friend become Pokemon champion, I can put them to the ultimate test and see if they really are worthy of being called champion. Something like that.
Depending on which Pokemon you selected. So, that would make him very, very similar to the champion who you battle. I mean, for Christ's sake, most of his Pokemon are exactly the same. Aside from Tauros, but Tauros is a normal type, and so is Pidgeot, or Fearow in the other yellow version. But nevertheless, it's still a normal type, which would match up, making him the same type. And of course, the other Pokemon are exactly the same. Executor, Arcanine, Gyarados. Which would indicate that the programmers decided to scrap Professor Oak as the champion and use your rival as the champion instead.
Wait, hold on. So it's supposed to be Professor Oak at the end, not the rival. Okay, I'm glad that they went the way they did and scrapped Professor Oak and kept the rival, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you, why would you have it to where, like, fighting the rival, like, at certain intervals throughout the entire game, and then just poof, he vanishes in thin air? Not even at the very end. That battle at the end was just like a culmination, like, hey, this is everything we've done and everything we've learned. Okay, I'm glad they went the way they did.
However, this would indicate that Professor Oak at one point in time was the champion. I mean, you can battle him with a glitch in the system. He has these Pokemon. They are extremely high level. The Poke League continuously uses him as a resource and mapped out the Pokedex, meaning he at least saw all the Pokemon, if not captured every single one of them. Logic aside, loopholes aside, the facts presented here prove that Professor Oak was at least the Poke League champion one time. Supporting evidence from Agatha, being a Poke League Elite Fours, not a champion herself, but an Elite Four. How does one become an Elite Four? The same way someone becomes a gym leader, but on a much more higher level. So Agatha, instead of becoming the champion, decided to stay and retire as an Elite Four.
Oh, okay, so it's like, so it's that Agatha wanted to continue battling, while Professor Oak wanted to kind of like quiet down and just go into research and study instead of battling. Maybe that's what caused the rift between them. Yeah, but okay, so like the whole thing that it was supposed to be a battle against Professor Oak, that's what proves that so that is what proves that Professor Oak was a Pokemon champion. And then, like, Agatha used to be, or could have been a champion, but she decided to become an Elite Four, which is, like, I guess if you're, like, looking at a hierarchy, like there's all the workers, like the Nurse Joys throughout all the Pokemon centers. Then above that is the gym leaders, and then up top is, like, the CEOs of the Pokemon world, just the Elite Four. And I guess it's more like a job interview, just, hey, if you're going to be regarded as champion, there are certain responsibilities that you must take that we have all taken. And hell, maybe they went through similar tests, but they didn't want to become... They didn't want to take on the full responsibility of a champion. They decided to take on the role of a... Like an owner. They don't want to be the owner, they want to be the CEO. Which is just a little under that. Well, kinda. It would be different in the Pokemon world, but you more or less get my point, I'm sure.
Which she is eventually replaced by a Dark-type user known as Karen. So, proving, once more, that Professor Oak and Agatha used to be extremely skilled trainers. And while Professor Oak became the champion, Agatha just remained the Pokemon Elite Four Ghost-type user that she is known as today. So, guys, what do you think about this theory? Do you truly think Professor Oak was a champion? Or do you believe Professor Oak just to be some old coot fool who has no idea what he does half the time, and he's just some lame professor who doesn't like to battle anymore? At any rate, guys, please leave your interesting comments in the section below. And if you have a Pokemon theory you want me to discuss, make sure you put it in the section below. I'm ProtoMario, and I'm signing out. And thanks for watching this Pokemon Theory.
Okay, well, that's the end of the theory, and it is interesting. Maybe, okay, because, like, in the second-gen games, like I said, I've done more than enough research for that. Blue is the gym leader of Viridian City after Giovanni just up and vanished from off the face of the earth, apparently. And so, and then Red becomes, like, the final boss on top of Mount Silver, somewhere. Okay, so maybe it's kind of like that, where it's like like Professor Oak, Sam, and Agatha, as young Pokemon adventurers, they both get through the Elite Four of their time, but Agatha's first, and then she gets dethroned by Sam, by Oak. Okay, he becomes the champion, but instead of isolating himself on a mountain, he decides to dive into research and put, his responsibilities of a champion into being a researcher and spreading knowledge around the world. Whereas Agatha, who's no longer champion, kind of gets a consolation prize, so to speak. Just, okay, here is a position among the Elite Four. It's yours. Do you want it? Yes? No? Up to you. I don't know. I wouldn't say that anything that exactly points directly to Professor Oak being a champion. It's more just yeah, he could have been the champion, but then again, maybe he wasn't. There's no way to really say for absolute certain, at least not throughout the first-gen games. And I barely started the second-gen game, so I got the Pokedex card for the Pokegear from Professor Oak at Mr. Pokemon's house. So that's pretty much my only interaction. Eventually, I'll get to Goldenrod City and say hello to Professor Oak again and say, hello, nice to see you again. What's up? Hell, maybe there'll be more there. But just barely started. I've recorded a handful of things for second gen Pokemon. I haven't even touched the editing process at all. So yeah, that's definitely going to take a while. In the meantime, I've got to get this edited together. I've got to get Thoughtful Thursday. I've got Morrowind Supercuts to put together. I'm up to 11? I'm having a bit of trouble with the 12th. I gotta try a couple things before I say, okay, time to reduce it more. Damn it. Yeah, anyway, I will see you there whenever that happens. So, if you have any ideas for a Wild Wednesday commentary, put it in the comment section down below. I'll give it a quick look and possibly do a Wild Wednesday on it sometime in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell so you can always be notified whenever I upload another video. And as always, have fun.